Hello, guys, and a good day to you. So, in this topic or in this video, I will be sharing stores and products. And I'm sure that in this video you will be needing a lot of memorization because you have to memorize four stores, and for each store there are four products, which is a total of 16 products. And you will be using these stores also in a sentence at the end of the before the end of the video. So I hope everyone is ready. Welcome to Foreign Language 2, Stores and Products. Okay, so the first location or a store is the wet market. Okay, and I am sure everyone visits the wet market every now and then. Okay, so it's where you go to buy your raw products, raw meat, so that you could prepare and cook it at home. So wet market in Tagalog is actually palengke. Okay, so people visit this often, and I believe it is a good thing to learn so that you could use it regularly when you speak Chinese. So wet market in Chinese is read as 市场, 市场, 市场. That's wet market. Okay, so the first location or the first store that we will be discussing is the wet market. And under the wet market, you can see that there are four products that are placed here. These four products would be under the wet market. Of course, if you go to the wet market, you could also see some other stuff that they are selling, but I'm not going to include there because it might be too many. So I'll just choose four that is the most common products that you can find in the wet market or palengke. Okay, so I also provide a cute emojis so that maybe it will help you retain the it will help you associate with the character, or it will help you remember the word. Okay, so I hope this helps you remember this character. So first things first. Okay, one of the most common things that we can find in the wet market is the pork. Okay, pork, no, baboy. Okay, so how do we read pork in Chinese? We read it as churro, churro, churro. The second thing that is common in the wet market is what we call chicken, manok, no, chicken. And how do we read chicken? Zero, zero, zero. Another one is beef, one of the most expensive. Beef is baka, nioro, nioro, nioro. And of course, the last but not the least is seafoods. Seafoods, we call it 海鲜, 海鲜, 海鲜. Okay, so these are the most common things that we can buy inside the wet market. We have pork, churro. We have chicken, zero. We have beef, nioro, and we have seafoods, 海鲜. Now, if you notice, I have here some of the words like row. If you notice, if you can see the row here, these three meat or these three animals have actually row beside them. Churro, zero, and nyoro. Row actually means meat. Okay, so this row actually means meat. Okay, or carne. Okay, so churro means pork meat, zero means chicken meat, nyoro means beef meat. Okay, but you don't need to sometimes mention that in English. Okay, just say chicken. I want a chicken. You don't need to say I want a chicken meat. Okay, so 海鲜 on the other hand doesn't have meat. Well, also it also still has meat like crab meat, fish meat, seafood meat. It also has meat, but it is not the same like this like the meat that is being given to churro, zero, and nyoro. So on 海鲜, if you notice, we have this character hai. Hai actually means sea. Okay, because these seafoods can be found in the sea. That's why it's seafoods. Okay, it can be found in the sea. This 海鲜 actually includes all the kinds of fish or all the kinds of water animals that can be found in the sea. And that can also be edible, that can also be eaten, like crab, lobster, shrimp, fish. These are all part of what we call 海鲜. Okay, so these four products are under the wet market. Let me read it for the last time. For under 市场 or wet market, we have churro for pork, We have 鸡肉 for chicken, we have 牛肉 for beef, and we have 海鲜 for seafoods. The next store is actually a bookstore. Of course, if you are a student, I'm sure you will be visiting bookstore a lot. And bookstore, we call it 书店. Okay, 书店, 书店. 书 literally means book, and 店 literally means a store. So 书店, when you combine it, it becomes a bookstore. Okay, so what is under the bookstore? Now, in 书店 or bookstore, we have these four products that we can always find whenever we go to a bookstore. The first one is pencil. I'm not sure if you're still using pencil right now, but pencil is one of the most common things inside the bookstore. So how do we read pencil? Pencil is read as 铅笔, 铅笔, 铅笔. Next one, we have the ball pen. Ball pen is read as 圆子笔, 圆子笔, 圆子笔. Another thing is the paper. How do we read paper? We read it as 纸张, 纸张, 纸张. And the last one is notebook. Notebook, how do we read it? We read it as 笔记本, 笔记本, 笔记本. Okay, so these are the products in the bookstores. Now, let me give you something about these products inside the bookstore. If you notice, we have the word 铅 for 铅笔. 铅 actually means lead. Okay, P means pen. So technically, this is called what we call a lead pen. Okay, so 铅笔 lead pen. Of course, we call it a pencil. On the other hand, we have ball pen. If you notice, it has also the word P for pen. 原子 actually means something like a rolling thing, like a ball that rolls. A ball that rolls. Okay, it's like a ball that rolls. That's why we call it a ball pen. You know, at the tip of the ball pen is actually a ball that rolls, so that it could spread the ink, and you could write something. Okay, we call it ball pen or the 原子笔. Now, for 笔记本, this is a very good word in Chinese, because in English you just call it a notebook. For Chinese, it is what we call a pen, and then 记 actually means memory. Okay, memory, or something that can remind you of something. 本 is actually means the booklet itself. So pen, memory, booklet in Chinese. So Chinese is a very beautiful way of saying the notebook. It means if you write something, it would increase your memory of that thing, rather than just reading it. That's why if you want to excel in your studies, you have to write it down. You have to put it down. Actually, writing is actually more effective than using a computer or typing it, because when you type it, if you notice, the keyboard, you're just actually pushing up clicking up the keyboard, just pushing up the buttons on the keyboard. But when you are writing it in a notebook, you're actually writing the characters or writing the letters, thus improving your memory of that word. That's why some people still, until now, prefer writing. So let me read this to you one last time. For bookstore, we have 书店. The products under the 书店 is pencil, 铅笔, ball pen, 原子笔, paper, 纸张, and notebook, 笔记本. Next on the list is a department store. Of course, if you hear of department store, I think some of you might think of SM, SM department store, which is one of the most common places people go to. And in Chinese, we read department store as 百货公司. One more time, 百货公司, 百货公司. Okay, so 百货公司 is a department store. Okay, so this is where we visit and buy actually different things. The reason why it's called a department store, it means they are selling it by department. That's why if you go to SM, the products are actually placed in like as a department for pants, shorts, cell phones, shoes, how to say this, socks, etc. Okay, they are placed by departments. They are not just random things on the store. Okay, they are separated. They are placed in a section or a department separated from each other, so that when you go to a certain department, for example, if you're looking for a bag, all the available bags in the department store are placed there, so that you don't have to look for other places. That's why it's called a department store. Again, department store is read as 百货公司. Okay, so next on the line is the department store, and in this department store, this 百货公司, we could see another 4 products. I know in the department store there are so many products, but I only selected these things so that it will help you memorize things that are common. These are regular things that you can use every day. Aside from memorizing things like, for example, socks. I mean, you might know socks, but you won't be using socks on a regular basis. At least shoes, for example, you might be using this on a more regular basis. So what are the products under the department store that we can memorize? The first thing is shoes. Okay, shoes is read as 鞋子, 鞋子, 鞋子. So that is a shoes. Next one is a cell phone. Okay, cell phone means 手机, 手机, 手机. The third one is clothes. Okay, clothes is 衣服, 衣服, 衣服. The last one is computer, 电脑, 电脑, 电脑. So we have these 4 products under department store. Now, some things I want to share. For example, in our cell phone, if you notice, this word show actually means hands. This actually means hands. And we have 机. 机 is translation is for machine. So cell phone in Chinese actually means hand machine, a machine in your hands. Okay, so right now, as you know, cell phone is a very powerful machine in our hands, and so cell phone helps us to do a lot of things, and therefore it is a machine, a hand machine. 手机. Another thing is 电脑. 电. This character here is that this means electricity. Okay, electricity, and now means brain. Okay, so 电脑 means electric brain. It meaning that it is something related with a memory or a brain. That's why our computer can stock a lot of memory. The same thing how our brain works, the computer works that way. So that's called a 电脑. 电脑. Okay, so let me read these 4 products to you one last time. We have shoes, 鞋子, 鞋子, 鞋子. We have cell phone, 手机, 手机, 手机. We have clothes, 衣服, 衣服, 衣服. We have computer, 电脑, 电脑, 电脑. Of course, the last but not the least is grocery. Okay, I know a lot of us are going to the grocery on a regular basis too, like the wet market, to buy some stocks, maybe some sugar, maybe some eggs. We can find it all in the grocery. So grocery in Chinese is read as 副食商店. 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 Okay, so this is grocery. So this is the last 4 products that we are going to memorize under the 副食商店 or grocery. Okay, so again, these are all very common when you go to the grocery, and of course, in grocery there's a lot of products that you can see, but I just pick up these 4 things, hoping that these 4 things are the most common products in the department store that we go to and buy. So the first one we have here, what we call canned goods. Okay, anything that is inside a can is called canned goods. Okay, and in Chinese, canned goods is read as 罐头, 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 canned goods. The second is condiments. Condiments, if you see the picture here, you would see there's a ketchup, mustard, what else? Hot sauce. If you can see it clearly, I can enlarge the picture. There you go. So you could see a ketchup. How to say this? uh, pepper, mustard, anything, hot sauce, from sugar to salt, anything, anything that we could say condiments. Okay, and in Chinese we call it 调料,调料,调料,调料, condiments. The next one is something that we use every day, I hope, soap. Okay, so I hope everyone is using soap every day when you're taking a bath. So soap is also a very, very common thing that we buy in the grocery. Soap in Chinese is 肥皂,肥皂,肥皂. That's soap. And last but not the least is what we call junk foods. Okay, junk foods are what we call chips or fast foods that are well delicious but actually not good to our health. And we call it, and junk foods we call it 垃圾食品,垃圾食品,垃圾食品. So these are anything from chips to instant foods to pancit canton to anything that if you take often, it will be very harmful to your body. Okay, so we can eat this. We can eat this, of course, but not on a regular basis. Okay, so we call this junk foods. Now, in these things, I would like to share this 垃圾. 垃圾 is actually in Chinese we call it trash. Okay, that's why in English we also translate this as junk, meaning these kind of foods are not actually doing anything good to our body. The only reason why we enjoy junk foods is because they're delicious. That's it. Okay, but in terms of health, I don't think we can benefit from these. Okay, so these are designed for you to enjoy some crunchy snacks for a day or for a moment, but not always. Okay, so these are the 4 products in under the grocery. So again, let me read to you. Canned goods, 罐头,罐头,罐头. Condiments, 调料,调料,调料. Soap, 肥皂,肥皂,肥皂. And junk foods, 垃圾食品,垃圾食品,垃圾食品. Next on this lesson is some other words that may be common later as I teach you 5 different patterns of sentences. Let me just read to you the first one. Here is the word 买 is to buy, 吃 is to eat, 去 is to go, 喜欢 is like or want, 在 is in or in the process of doing something, 哪里 is where. Okay, so one more time, I'll read it 3 times. Buy, 买, 买, 买. Eat, 吃, 吃, 吃. Go, 去, 去, 去. Like or want, 喜欢, 喜欢, 喜欢. In or in the process of doing something, 在, 在, 在. And where? 哪里, 哪里, 哪里. Now, we proceed to a more challenging part of the stores and products. I have here actually 5 patterns that you have to memorize and study, and these patterns will actually help you create a sentence in Chinese. For example, here is we have the first pattern. The first pattern, I will be reading it in Chinese. It says here, 你喜欢吃什么? 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 Okay, so 你喜欢吃什么 in translation means what do you want to eat. Now, I know you remember our pronouns. 你, this is actually the pronoun 你, which means you. We have here 喜欢, 喜欢, which earlier we said it's like or want. We have 吃 also earlier. We have eat. And 什么 means what. So in a literal meaning, the sentence would say, you like eat what in Chinese. But of course, we want to translate it properly in English. What do you want to eat, or what do you like to eat? Now, why do we call this first pattern? Because in first pattern, since this is a question, you have to answer it. Okay, so the question is, what do you want to eat? Okay, of course, in English, it's very easy. Well, I like to eat, pizza. I like to eat chicken. I like to eat beef. I like to eat pork. I want to eat pork. Something like that. So in English, it's very easy. But how do we answer it in Chinese? Okay, so how do we answer it in Chinese? First, you have to change this ni. Since this is a question of you, first you have to change it to I, right? What do you want to eat? I want to eat. So you have to change it to I. So how do we type I in Chinese? We have the Chinese character 我. Okay, here is 我. Okay. So here is 我. And for the pinyin, we have WO, third tone. Okay, so 我. So you have to change the character from ni. You have to change it to 我 because you're answering it now. So you're the one, the person is asking you what you want to eat. So this is your answer. I want to eat. So 我, and then you just copy 喜欢. Okay, you just copy 喜欢. So I'll just write it so it will be faster. Pardon my handwriting. That's why I'm using a computer. 我喜欢, and then copy also 吃. 我喜欢吃, and then 什么. The reason why it's color green is because you have to change this word, because this word means what. So you have to change this word with a food. Now, what food do you want to choose? You could choose from the food that we have discussed earlier. If you notice, when you go to the market, you could buy what? Pork, chicken, beef, and seafoods, right? Now, when you go to the grocery, you could also eat canned foods. You could also eat how to say this? 垃圾食品 or junk foods. So you can choose between those things and put your answer here. Now, let's say you chose the food 鸡肉 or chicken. Okay, so your answer would look like this. 我喜欢吃鸡肉. Okay, 鸡肉. So this will be your answer. 我喜欢吃鸡肉. Okay, so you like eat what? What do you want to eat, or what do you like to eat? Your answer, 我喜欢吃鸡肉. Now, for the first pattern, all you have to focus is this 什么. Remember, 什么 is what. So your answer should be a thing, right? What? A thing, or an object, or a food in this case. So, and then you have to check the question. 我喜欢吃,你喜欢吃. You like to eat what? Okay, so you have to change first, again, the pronoun. You have to change it to 我喜欢吃. I like to eat. And then 鸡肉, chicken. Of course, you cannot put there 电脑 or computer, because you can't eat computer. So sometimes if we have a true or false part of the test and I place it there, 我喜欢吃电脑, of course the 电脑 is wrong because you cannot eat the computer. So it will be false. And then you have to change the 电脑, the computer, into something more edible, like 鸡肉. So any kind of food you could put it there. So that will be our first pattern. The second pattern is a bit long, and if you notice, the second pattern is not a question, it's more of a statement. Okay, it's more of a statement. Now, let me first read it to you. So, 我喜欢去市场买牛肉. 我喜欢去市场买牛肉. One more time. 我喜欢去市场买牛肉. Okay, so that is the that is the Chinese for this for this statement. Now, if you have time, please try to translate it, Okay, you can pause this video and try to translate it on your own. Let's see if you get it right. Okay, if you're done, okay, the answer would be I like to go to the market and buy beef. Okay, so this will be the translation for in this part. Okay, so I like to go to the market and buy beef. Okay, so I like to go to the market and buy beef. Now let's try to translate it. Okay, first things first. You have the wo here, which earlier we already discussed that it's I. 喜欢, it's like or want. Okay, and then 去 is to go. 市场, we already know this. This is the wet market. 买, we have the buy. And 牛肉, beef. So in Chinese, it will be translated as I like go wet market buy beef. Okay, but of course in English we have to translate it properly. I like to go to the market and buy beef. Okay, so this will be our what we call second pattern. Now, sometimes I will be giving you English sentences and I want you to translate it to Chinese. Now, if you notice, again, there is a green, green characters there. First green character is actually the 市场 for the wet market. And we have another thing is the 牛肉, which is the beef. Now, this wet market and this beef needs to be consistent. Okay, needs to be consistent. So remember, I told you earlier in our products and store that you can buy those products on a specific store. So you cannot say I like to go to the market and buy a computer. That will be impossible because there are no computers in the market. As far as we are concerned, right? Wet market is usually for raw products like chicken and beef. So you have to follow the store and the product. Now the product, in this case, if the translation is beef, then you have to answer, of course, 牛肉. Now, if I gave you an English sentence and I like you to translate it in Chinese, if I say I like to go to the market and buy seafoods, if I say seafoods, then your answer should be 海鲜, correct? Your answer should be 海鲜. Okay? So I like to go to the market and buy seafoods. Your Chinese sentence will be 我喜欢去市场买海鲜. Okay? That's how easy it is. Now, depending on what will I change. Example, I change this 市场 into 书店, a bookstore. Then you have to give me an item that is also under the bookstore. Okay? If I place here a 服饰商店, grocery, then you have to give me something that is inside the grocery, like 罐头 or 肥皂 for soap. Okay? If I write it here 百货公司, then you also have to give me something in the department store. Okay, so as easy as that. Again, remember the second pattern. I like to go to a place to buy something. Okay, now let's try. Let me give you a simple example. Okay, so 我喜欢去 let's say 富士商店 okay 富士商店 okay 买 okay, what can we buy in 富士商店? We could buy, let's say 肥皂 for soap. Okay, so 肥皂. Okay, so this will be your sentence. Okay, so 我喜欢去富士商店买肥皂. I like to go to the grocery to buy soap. So you notice, again, these two and this should be consistent. Okay, that's why I told you earlier that you have to memorize this part of the group between store and the product. Okay, so the store would be grocery, and what you could buy in a grocery, soap. Okay, so 我喜欢去服饰商店买肥皂. I like to go to the grocery and buy soap. This is the second pattern. Third pattern. Now, third pattern is more or less similar with the second pattern. It's also a question. Oh, sorry, the first pattern. It's also a question. Okay, so if you notice, we have here, let me read it to you. 你在服饰商店买什么? One more time. 你在服饰商店买什么? 你在服饰商店买什么? Okay, so if you want to try and translate it, go ahead. You can pause this video and try to translate it on your own first. Okay, if you're done translating, let's see if your answer is correct. Okay, what are you going to buy in the grocery? Okay, so the answer would be, what are you going to buy in the grocery? Okay, what are you going to buy in the grocery? Of course, depending on what are you going to buy, you have to place an answer there. Okay, so the question is, what are you going to buy in the grocery? Now, let's try to translate it, the Chinese first. 你, again, this will be translated as you. 在, in. Okay, or sometimes the process of. In this case, it's in. 服饰商店 is grocery. 买 is buy. And 什么 is what. So in Chinese, the literal translation would be, you in grocery buy what. But of course, let's put it in English in a better way. What are you going to buy in the grocery? Hey, what are you going to buy in the grocery? So the question is what. So your answer should be, again, an item. Well, in this case, depending on the 4 products that you want to buy in the grocery. Okay, so for example, again, the 4 things that we can buy in the grocery. Number 1 is what we call a 罐头, which is a canned goods. The second one is a 肥皂, which is a soap. The third thing is a 调料 for condiments. And the last thing would be a 垃圾食品, which is a junk food. So it's up to you, what do you want to answer. Okay, so you have to change this. You have to change 什么 into a product under the 服饰商店 or the grocery. Okay, so you have to change it into a product under the store. Whatever the store is, whatever the store is whatever the store is there, or how to say this, what store is given to you, you should provide that product. So you could only provide 4 products, the things that I've given to you earlier. So what can we buy in 服饰商店? Let's say you try to buy 调料. Okay, so 调料. Okay, so we have here, let's say your answer would be 调料. Okay, so your answer to this question would be 我. Okay, let me type it for you. 我在服饰商店买调料. Okay, 我在服饰商店买调料. Again, this is I. This is already translated as I. Remember, we have to change it because ni is you. So they are asking you. So you have to answer with I. I in grocery buy condiments, 调料. Okay, so depending on depending on the location, depending on the store, you have to give a product that is consistent with what is selling in the store. Now, if you notice, I placed the store green and the 什么 green because sometimes I change a store. Okay, so if I change a store, for example, I place there 市场 or wet market, then you have to change your product into under the wet market. So for example, 你在市场买什么? Okay, what are you going to buy in the market or in the wet market? Then you would answer 我在市场买. And then what are the four products in the wet market? We have the chicken, 鸡肉, 牛肉 beef. We have the 猪肉 pork, and we have the 海鲜 seafood. It's up to you what you want. But if I'm going to ask you to translate into Chinese, okay, I'm going to write, for example, what are you going to buy in the wet market? Then you can choose whatever you want to buy. Okay, so this is the third pattern. Fourth pattern. In this case, again, fourth pattern is another kind of question. Okay, so if you want, you can pause the video and try to translate this sentence, this fourth pattern. Now, let me read it to you first. 你在哪里买鞋子? 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 Okay, so you can try and translate it. Now let's see if your translation is correct. Okay, so the translation would be, where did you buy shoes? Okay, where did you buy shoes would be the translation. Okay, if you get it correct, that's good. If not, that's okay. There's still a lot of things you can translate. Where did you buy shoes? 你在哪里买鞋子? Now let's translate this first. Okay, so again, in Chinese, you, 你 is you, 在 in or in the process, 哪里 is a question word for where, and 买 is buy, 鞋子 is shoes. So the question is, where did you buy shoes? Okay, so according to our list of stores and products, you can buy 鞋子 or shoes inside the 百货公司. Okay, so we can buy these shoes in the 百货公司. So we can now answer this question. So how would we answer that? Okay, so the answer would be 我在百货公司买鞋子. Okay, so 我在百货公司买鞋子. Let me just type it. Okay. 我在百货公司买鞋子. So again, you have to change the 我 the 你 to 我, and then copy the 在, and then change the where into the location, and then 买 just copy it, and then the shoes just copy it. So in this case, the shoes here, the reason why it's also colored green and the nali is because depending on what kind of product I'm giving to you, you have to check the location. So you cannot say 我在书店买鞋子. I bought the shoes in the bookstore. Okay, you cannot. Okay, so you have to follow the proper patterns. Okay, so in this case, 鞋子 we can buy it in the department store or 百货公司. Okay, department store. So 我在百货公司买鞋子. Okay, 我在百货公司买鞋子. So I bought my shoes in the department store. So that will be the translation for this. I bought my shoes in the department store. I bought my shoes in the department store. Okay, so that's fourth pattern. Last but not the least is the fifth pattern. Now, the fifth pattern is, I believe, would be the simplest of all, because in here you have total control of what you want to buy in the specific store. Okay, so I'll be reading to you the sentence. These are two questions. Okay, so these are two questions. The first question is 你喜欢去哪里? 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 And the another question, 喜欢买什么?喜欢买什么?喜欢买什么? Okay, so if you have if you have time, please try to translate it. Okay, you can pause the video and translate it. Okay, let's see if your translation is correct. Okay, so where do you want to go? What do you want to buy? Okay, so the translation would be, where do you want to go and what do you want to buy? Where do you want to go? What do you want to buy? So we have here two questions. Of course, if there's a two question, then there will be a two kinds of answer. Okay, so here the first question is, where do you want to go? Okay, or where do you like to go? So it's a question of a location. So you have to give, of course, the answer to the location. Now, after giving the answer to the location, then you would now check the product that you want to buy inside that location. Okay, so 什么 now is what? So let me just show this to you. 哪里 is where again. So the first question is a question of location. The second question is a question of an item. What? Okay, so first is where, second is what. Okay, again, the answer is very simple. First, we just have to change the ni into a wo. Okay, so it will look like this. 我喜欢去. Okay, now in this case, where do you want to go? So it's up to you now. Where do you want to go? For example, you want to go to the bookstore. You add there 书店. 我喜欢去书店. Okay, so 我喜欢去书店. I like to go to the bookstore. And then buy what? 喜欢买. And then what can we buy in the 书店, in the bookstore? In our category or in our list, we can buy 4 things in the bookstore. The first is we call 铅笔 pencil. The second is 圆子笔 for ball pen. The third is papers or 纸张. And the fourth one would be 笔记本 or notebook. Let's say you want to buy a notebook. So your answer would be 我喜欢去书店，喜欢买笔记本. So this will be your answer. 我喜欢去书店，喜欢买笔记本. Okay, so in this case we have I, 我喜欢 like 去 to go to bookstore, 喜欢 like 买笔记本 notebook. So again, 书店 is a bookstore. It has to be consistent with the product that you're going to buy. So it's up to you if what kind of store you want to go and what kind of product you can buy there. You have the option to choose. Okay, so this is the 5th pattern. I hope you enjoyed learning these stores and products. And this is only the beginning. I would provide more vocabularies to help you learn more about Chinese. So once again, please do review these 5 patterns and of course the vocabulary. Try to memorize it as if you have time. I also will give you some time to learn these sentences, and then we will just meet in Facebook Live so that I could answer some of your questions. Okay, so I hope everyone enjoyed this lesson. God bless.